A nurse tried to kill me in my bed at 2 in the morning. She had a syringe. She had my arm. She was looking for a vein. And the only reason I am still alive is because a teenager dialed the wrong phone number. I am 94 years old. My hands shake. My knees are shot. I need help putting on my socks, but my brain works just fine. And that brain is the reason she came for me, because I figured out what she was doing, and she knew it. She wrote about me in a journal the police found in her apartment. She had a plan for me. She had a date picked out. But before I tell you how I caught her, you need to know how I ended up in that bed in the first place. Because everything that happened started the day my daughter drove me to that building. I lost my husband Frank after 53 years. Then my son Robert to cancer in 2019. After Robert died, my body fell apart. Broke my hip, broke my wrist. My daughter Karen said I could not live alone anymore. So in January 2024, she put me in Greenfield Assisted Living. I cried the whole drive there because I knew I was never coming home. The place smelled like bleach. My room was tiny, but I made a friend. And losing that friend is the reason I am telling you this story right now. Dorothy, room 312, right next to mine, 89 years old. She had dementia, but she was still the funniest person in the building. She stole bread off my tray every morning and winked at me like we were getting away with something. She hummed Ella Fitzgerald in the hallways. She could not tell you what month it was, but she remembered every word to those songs. Her daughter Lisa brought ice cream every Sunday, and Dorothy would hide a melted spoonful under a napkin for me. I ate it every time because it made her smile so big her eyes closed. Dorothy is dead now, and the woman who killed her was the nicest person in the building. Her name was Jolene. Night nurse, mid-30s, blonde, soft voice. She brought cookies every Friday. She remembered birthdays. She sang to scared patients at 3 in the morning. Karen told me, "Mom, you are so lucky to have her." The staff said, "Thank God Jolene is on tonight." Everybody loved this woman. I could not stand her. I know that sounds crazy. She never did anything wrong that I could point to, but my gut was screaming. I got the same feeling in 1968 when a neighbor invited my kids to his yard. I said no. That man was arrested 2 years later. My gut has never been wrong, and it was going crazy about Jolene. I am a light sleeper, always have been. So at 2 in the morning, I heard everything. And I noticed something. Jolene was not checking on everybody. She was skipping rooms. She walked right past 308, past 310, past 311, but she always went into 3 rooms. Room 312, Dorothy. Room 315, Earl. Room 319, Helen. Same 3 rooms, every single night. I started scratching marks on the back of my nightstand with a hairpin, 1 mark per night. I had 14 marks before Dorothy died. The World Health Organization says 1 in 6 older people get abused in care facilities. 1 in 6. That is over 100 million people every year. And only 1 out of 24 cases gets reported. Nobody noticed the pattern because nobody was awake and nobody was listening. 2:14 a.m. on a Tuesday. My door was cracked open. I saw Jolene walk into Dorothy's room with a syringe. She did not turn the lights on. She did not check a chart. She did not call anyone. She was in there for 4 minutes. Then she walked out like nothing happened. Next morning, Dorothy's chair was empty at breakfast. Her sunflower mug was sitting on the table. Nobody filled it. Paula said Dorothy had a fever. By Wednesday, she could not sit up. By Thursday, she could barely breathe. Her daughter Lisa came that night. I heard her through the walls saying, "Mama, I am right here." Friday morning, the code alarm went off. Staff running, machines beeping. Then everything went quiet. That silence after a code alarm fails is the worst sound in the world. Dorothy was gone. 5 days. Monday, she was stealing bread off my plate. Friday, she was dead. I told my daughter Karen. I sat with her and told her everything. The syringe, the pattern, Dorothy dying 5 days later. She patted my hand like I was a dog. She said, "Mom, you probably had a bad dream." Then she said she wanted the doctor to change my medication. My own daughter wanted to drug me because I told her the truth. I told Marcus, the afternoon aide. And here is where it gets bad. After the arrest, Marcus told police something. 6 weeks before Dorothy died, he found a syringe in the trash of room 303. That was Gladys, 84 years old, died the night before. Gladys was not on any shots. Marcus brought the syringe to the night supervisor. The supervisor said, "Probably a flu shot in the wrong bin. Forget about it." So Marcus threw it away. He was 25 and making $14 an hour. A study out of the University of Manchester found that when staff suspect a coworker of hurting patients, only 12% say something. Marcus was in the other 88%. And 6 more people died after Gladys. I told the facility director, Dr. Patterson. He smiled at me like I was a lost child, said he would look into it. He never did. Government reports show 1 in 5 nursing homes get caught failing to protect patients. Fewer than 2% face any real punishment. The system is set up to protect the building, not the people inside it. So I stopped asking for help. I quit my sleeping pills. I got a pen from the nurses' station when nobody was looking. I started a notebook under my mattress. Dates, times, room numbers. That notebook is now evidence in a murder trial. Earl was in room 315, 91 years old, Korean war vet. He played cards with me every Tuesday and cheated every time. Laughed so hard when he won that his whole body shook. His wife died the year before. Every night he touched her photo and whispered, "Good night, Dor." I heard him through the wall. His grandson was going to take him fishing that summer. Earl talked about that fishing trip every single day. Then Jolene decided he had lived long enough. 2:12 a.m. I heard her go in his room. That sweet voice. "Just your medication, Mr. Earl. This will help you sleep." But Earl did not have any 2 a.m. medication. Nobody on our floor did. I knew because old people talk about their pills the way young people talk about their phones. I knew every pill that man took. None of them came at 2 in the morning. 2 weeks later, kidney failure. 3 days after that, dead. His grandson was told he went peacefully. That word makes me want to break something. Earl survived a war at 19. He died in a clean bed because a nurse put something in him at 2 a.m. and everybody shrugged. Then I realized something that froze my blood. Dorothy, room 312. Earl, room 315. Helen, room 319. She was going in order, room by room down the hallway, and my room, 314, was right between Earl and Helen. I was next. A week after Earl died, the footsteps stopped at my door. She stood in my doorway for 5 minutes, just a shadow, watching me. I kept my eyes closed and counted to 300. Every cell in my body wanted to scream, but my legs do not work, and if she knew I was awake, I was dead. Next night, she came all the way to my bed, leaned down so close I could feel her breath. Lavender. That smell makes me sick now. She whispered, "Are you awake, Miss Margaret?" I bit the inside of my cheek until I tasted blood. Did not move. Night 3, she brought a syringe. I heard the cap click off, that tiny plastic sound in a dead, quiet room. She took my arm. Her fingers were cold. Turned it over. Started pressing on my veins with her thumb. Back and forth across my forearm, looking for a good one. I could feel the needle right above my skin, not touching, just hovering. And I am lying there thinking, this is it. This is how I die. Nobody knows. Nobody is coming. Karen is going to get a phone call tomorrow saying I passed in my sleep. She is going to cry. She is going to say, at least she went peacefully. Jolene is going to bring cookies on Friday, and nobody will ever know what happened in this room tonight. A patient gets killed by a healthcare worker somewhere in the world about every 72 hours. I was 3 seconds from being the next one. Then my phone rang. Wrong number. Some kid looking for a pizza place at 2:30 in the morning. The phone screamed through the silence, and Jolene dropped my arm and walked away. I heard her shoes squeak down the hallway, and I lay there with my arm still flipped over, right where she left it, shaking so hard the bed was rattling against the wall. If that kid calls the right number, I am dead. If the phone rings 3 seconds later, the needle is already in me. My whole life, 94 years of it, came down to one teenager pressing one wrong button. I stared at the ceiling until the sun came up, did not close my eyes once. That morning I decided I was done being scared. I went to Helen, room 319, 87, Parkinson's, but her brain was sharp. She used to be a nurse for 40 years. 20 years before, she testified in a trial where a doctor was caught killing patients. She knew what it looked like. She had been watching Jolene since month 1. I told Helen everything. She looked at me and said 2 words, "I know." She told me Jolene was using potassium chloride. In small amounts, it makes your body shut down slowly. It just passes for normal organ failure. In big amounts, it stops your heart in minutes. And the scary part? Potassium is already in your body. So unless someone runs a very specific test that almost nobody orders for old patients, the death just gets written off as natural causes. Body gets buried, room gets cleaned, killer moves on. Over 54 healthcare workers got caught killing patients between 1970 and 2020. And the average time before anyone figured it out? 7 years. So we set a trap. Helen's grandson gave her a phone for Christmas she could barely use. I spent 2 nights teaching her how to hit record. We practiced in the TV room pretending to watch game shows. The staff walked past us a dozen times. Just 2 old ladies. Nobody cared. The night of the trap, Helen had her phone on the nightstand, camera rolling. I stood behind my cracked door. 2:11 a.m. Footsteps. Jolene walked into Helen's room, pulled out a syringe, reached for the IV line. The phone caught everything. Then Helen opened her eyes, looked right at Jolene, and said, "I know what you did to Dorothy." 87. Parkinson's shaking her whole bed, and she looked a killer in the eye and said it without flinching. Jolene froze. Her smile disappeared. Her face went blank, like a mask falling off and nothing behind it. Like looking at a person who suddenly was not a person anymore. 3 seconds of dead silence. Then she said, "Dorothy was suffering. They were all suffering. I was helping them." Flat, calm, like she was telling you what she had for lunch. Zero guilt, zero panic. Then she looked at Helen and said, "You are suffering too. The shaking, the pain. You do not deserve to live like this." She said it like she was doing Helen a favor. She really believed it. She thought she was an angel. A killer who knows they are bad can be stopped. A killer who thinks they are good, that is the scariest thing on earth. Helen hit the alarm. Staff came running. Jolene did not run. She walked to the break room, poured herself a cup of coffee, sat down, waited for the cops like she was waiting for a bus. When they cuffed her, she turned and looked at me in the hallway. I was standing there in my nightgown, holding my walker, and she smiled at me, this soft, sad smile, like she felt sorry for me, like I was the one who got it all wrong. That smile haunts me every single night. I close my eyes and she is standing in my doorway, smiling. They dug up Dorothy and Earl. Potassium levels 3 times normal. I was right from day one. If one person had believed me, Dorothy would have been the only victim. Greenfield was her 3rd facility. 6 dead in Indiana, 11 in Ohio, 7 at Greenfield, 24 total. The Indiana place gave her a good reference letter after 6 patients died. Only 7 states in the country run full background checks on nursing home staff. Jolene passed every one because she was never charged. She just moved on each time. Cops found a journal in her apartment. She wrote about every person she killed, like a diary. One entry said, "Mrs. D was in so much pain, I gave her peace tonight." Mrs. D was Dorothy. Dorothy was eating meatloaf and humming songs and saving me ice cream. She was not in pain. Jolene just decided her life was not worth living because she had dementia. They also found searches on her phone. Undetectable medications, elderly patients. Potassium chloride detection, autopsy. She had been changing the medication records after people died to cover her tracks. And this is the part that destroyed me. 2 weeks before the arrest, she wrote, "The woman in 314 does not sleep. She listens. I need to handle her soon. That is my room. I was not random. I was a target. If that phone does not ring, I am entry 314 in her journal. One victim was Walter, Rue 328, 88. 2 weeks from going home. His daughter already bought new sheets for his bed, built a ramp for the porch. Jolene wrote, "It is kinder to let him rest." She killed a man 2 weeks from being with his family. His daughter drove to pick him up, and they told her he died the night before. She had to return the sheets. Dorothy's daughter Lisa came to my room after and cried for an hour. She told me she brought Jolene sunflowers on Mother's Day. Sunflowers for the woman who killed her mother. The National Center on Elder Abuse says 66% of abuse in these places comes from staff. For every case reported, 24 go undetected. Earl's grandson called me, said Earl told him he felt safe at Greenfield. Safe. That word broke me in half. He died trusting the person who killed him. Karen cries every visit now. She says, "Mom, I should have listened." I forgive her. But if she had called the police that day instead of patting my hand, Earl might be alive. Walter might be home. 5 more people might still be breathing. 1 phone call. That is all it would have taken. Go see your parents. Not next week. Tonight. Show up at 9 p.m. when nobody expects you. Walk the hallways. Check the medication logs. If your mother tells you something is wrong, believe her. Do not pat her hand. Do not change her pills. Listen, because the person calling your mother sweetheart might be the same person standing over her at 2 a.m. with a needle and a